Good afternoon. So obviously this is not a car rant, this is an office rant. And it's not really a rant. I wanted to talk, so I continuously get exposed to these situations where families are first becoming aware of the severity of the situation. Mostly parents. So we do a parent group here every Monday night at Faber Greenville. It starts at 6:30, ends at 8 o'clock. If you're in the upstate, we would encourage you to come. And basically, 95% of the attendees are dealing with kids, in age range, maybe 16 to 30, 16 to 40, sometimes even older. But it's really like a late teen, young adult kind of phenomenon for the most part. And one of the things that always comes up, especially, the younger the kid is, when it first starts going on, the parents, they start to have some questions about what's happening. Is this normal rebellious behavior, normal experimentation, or is it something more serious? And here's the deal. There's no way to be able to evaluate that just from a momentary conversation. It would take an assessment. It would take a serious clinical evaluation to kind of give you an answer to that question. But there are some guidelines that I can give you right away. Number one, take a deep breath. Take a deep breath and try to assess this situation using the rational part of your brain. You're going to be conditioned to go to the worst case scenario. We see a lot of stuff on the news, and we know how dangerous this is, and I get it. This is very, very serious stuff, but step back, take a deep breath. Second thing, when you start Googling for solutions and you start looking around, be very, very careful, because if you call some of these places, especially if you call like one of these 1-800 numbers or one of these destination rehab kind of situations, there will be no assessment that goes on. It will be, let's get him on a plane and let's get him out to our facility, and the next thing you know, he'll be on his way to rehab. He or she will be on their way to rehab, and that may be necessary, that may be not necessary. Become educated. Get some books to read. The basic stuff. There are a couple books out there, Clean by David Schiff. He talks about his journey through this process. Maya Salvitz has a book called The Unbroken Brain. You can look at some of the traditional texts. You read a book like the Big Book of Alcoholics Anonymous, the Basic Text of Narcotics Anonymous. Whatever you read, they're all going to give you the same basic information around this idea of it being something other than bad behavior. We have a lot of arguments in recovery. You have a lot of different opinions, but there's one basic thing that we all sort of agree on. It's something other than Rich just wanted to be a bad guy. So get some information on what that looks like. I recommend some of the more clinical or professional kind of documentation around that. Go to a website like the National Institute of Drug Abuse. Go to my website, recoverycartel.com. I have a lot of just neutral, good facts on my website. Then what do you do? So what's the next step in this process? Well, you got to get everybody who's involved with this kid on the same team. You got to get dad involved. You got to get grandma involved. You got to get girlfriend involved. If they won't get involved, you're going to have to try to walk this out yourself, and that's going to make it more difficult. But at some point in time, you got to have a conversation with the kid, right? You got to sit them down and you got to say, we love you, we're concerned about you, but we don't want to just watch you self-destruct. So here's what we think's going on. We found this in your room, we found that in your room. But you want to have that conversation from a place of calm. You don't want to confront the person on it. That's going to push them away. That's going to make them shut down. They're going to become defensive. You're not going to get real answers to the question in that case. So how do you get people on the same page? Well, they're going to have to talk about the elephant in the room as well. That would be another case if you can get them to one of our groups, or you can expose yourself to that information. If you go to my Cartel website, recoverycartel.com, you'll find a catalog of some of those groups that I've done and some other information that I put out there. You're going to have to work hard to get that team together. Mom or dad or whoever's the point person, you don't want to carry this burden yourself. You want to spread the responsibility. Because if you don't intentionally do that, what will happen is one person will get worn out and exhausted. All right, and we're going to talk more about this as we go through. This was just a real quick video. Some of this stuff struck me today because I had some conversations with some families today around this very issue. All right, you guys have a wonderful day, and I look forward to hearing from you in 2018.